Hi there. I'm Faith Moore. I am an editor and the founder of the Story Club over on my website, faithkmoore.com. And today I'm going to do a live edit. So, what that means is I edit people's writing every day and I do it alone in my room and then I send it back to them. But I thought it might be interesting for those of you who are writers yourself to see what goes into an edit. Maybe because you are wondering if I would be the right person to edit your work and you'd like to know what I do when I edit, and that would be completely fine. But also, and maybe more importantly, you want to know how to edit your own work, and you are wondering what kinds of things to be thinking about and doing and changing while you're editing. So I thought we could just take some time today. I have a piece of writing here handed in by a volunteer. And I want to thank everyone that sent in writing samples because I hope that we can do this more than once. And I have a few different people who volunteered. So I'm just going to do one today, and hopefully I'll do more as we go. And I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to just pretend that you're not here, and I'm going to edit it. And as I go, I will say out loud what it is that I'm thinking. Normally, I would just think it in my head, but I will say it out loud and explain to you why I'm making the changes that I'm making. I'll go on for a little while, not too long. I don't think anybody wants to sit here listening to me edit something for a super long time, but I think that it would be helpful. I asked people on Twitter if it would be helpful, and people said yes, it would be. So that's what we're going to do. If you would like to have me do more of these, if you would like me to do it but do it slightly differently, if this is horrible, please just comment on this video. Or if you're watching this from Twitter or from my website, you can comment on my website, you can comment on Twitter, and let me know if this is something that's helpful, if there's something else that's similar that you'd like me to do, or if you just like me to please go away, you can let me know that too, but be nice. I am going to imagine now that I'm doing a developmental edit. I offer 3 different kinds of edits. A proofread, which is just a very basic check of your spelling, punctuation, grammar, that kind of thing. I also offer a copy edit, which is a proofread. Plus, I check for like consistency errors. I check to make sure that the writing flows, that the structure of the sentences, that kind of thing, but still just kind of the writing, the text. And then I offer a developmental edit, which includes a proofread and a copy edit, and also comments on the actual content of the writing. And I make suggestions for things to change or include. I ask questions, that kind of thing. So I'm going to imagine now that I am doing a full developmental edit on this piece of writing. It is submitted by Doug F. It is part of the beginning of his memoir. He sent me the first 5 pages. We'll see how far we get. And let me just share my screen with you now. So I'm going to get rid of this banner. I'm going to share this with you. Okay, here it is. I've got track changes on, so you'll see everything that I do, and I can make comments as well. And I am just going to get started. I've never done this before. I have never edited out loud. So we'll see how we go. And, it'll work or it won't. Let's see what happens. Okay, so let's just dive in, and we'll do this for a couple pages, and then we'll check back in and see how it went. All right, let's see. When you leave the road that parallels Akasambo Dam, everything changes. You are plunged into a thick canopy of humid rainforest. Okay, rainforest is one word. Okay. The bright African sun is shielded like an organic umbrella. Okay, this implies that the sun is the umbrella. This should say, you are plunged into a thick canopy of humid rainforest, shielding the bright African sun like an organic umbrella, because it's the canopy of the rainforest. It's the branches of the rainforest that is shielding the sun like an organic umbrella. Okay, burned areas that show the scars of foresting begin to appear. Okay, the burned areas are the scars of foresting, right? The burned areas don't also show scars of foresting. So burned areas that show the scars of foresting begin to appear. So we want to say burned areas, comma, the scars of foresting. So now I don't love the flow of this. Okay, now it makes sense, but now I don't love the flow. So burned areas, the scars of foresting begin to appear. Okay, and then I want that to be the end of the sentence because otherwise we've got too many ideas going on here. So burned areas, the scars of foresting begin to appear. What I want here is I want to know like when did the foresting happen, because I want something like the scars of recent foresting or the scars of long past foresting or something like that. So I'm going to comment, when did the foresting happen? Let's include a word here to indicate that. Okay. And then, so then this is going to be the next sentence. But as you trek deeper into the jungle, even those shreds of domesticity begin to disappear. Okay. I don't think foresting is domesticity. Domesticity is like things that happen in your home. I think maybe we mean something like civilization or, like human occupancy or something. So Doug F needs to make this choice. That's what I would think as the editor, but I'm going to just note this isn't quite the right word. You want something that doesn't imply hominess. You want a word like civilization, or you want to like civilization, something like that, right? Okay, and then he's got to figure out what that should be. The road to the village of Batoku is an uneven, treacherous, muddy track with overhanging limbs that scraped our 4-speed cream-colored 1978 Peugeot as we slowly moved through the soggy rainforest. Okay, we have a problem with tense here. It's not a huge problem because I get what we're going for, but the first paragraph is in the present tense, and the second paragraph continues in the present tense. And this is fine because presumably this road and this village are still there. And so even though the story that Doug is telling takes place in the past, these things can be in the present. However, it doesn't quite work. It's going to trip up the reader to say that the road to the village is an uneven blah, 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 that scraped our 4-speed, etc. Because now we're going into the past, because now you're taking us into the story that you're telling, which happened in the past. So, is an uneven, treacherous, muddy track with overhanging limbs that scrapes. What we have to do here is we have to now begin the second paragraph in the past, placing us in the story that Doug is starting to tell. So what we want is to say, okay, something like, let's see, our 4-speed cream color, blah, 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 Peugeot. Okay. Is that how you say that, by the way? I don't even know. Okay. I'm going to copy. Okay. We want to say something like, as our 4-speed cream colored 1978 Peugeot drove along the road to the village of Batoku. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Okay, drove along the uneven and treacherous muddy track That was the road to the village. Um, Overhanging limbs scraped against the sides of the car. Okay, and then I'm just going to get rid of that because we already know that we're in a soggy rainforest. Okay, let's just check. As our four-speed cream-colored 1978 Peugeot drove along the uneven, treacherous, muddy track that was the road to the village of Batoku, overhanging limbs scraped against the sides of the car. Okay, now we've placed ourselves in the past, and we know that we're still in this place that was described in paragraph 1. I don't love how many adjectives are going on about this car, the four-speed cream-colored 1978 Peugeot. I think I might get rid of four-speed, although maybe that tells us that the car is able to handle this road. Cream-colored tells us that, well, it helps us picture it, and also we're imagining it now getting really dirty. 1978 Peugeot. Okay, I'm going to leave it for now. At one point, the vehicle was so unbalanced that I was literally hanging from the handrail above the moistened window. I think handrail is one word, yeah. Above the moistened window. My father looked up at me from the driver's seat, half laughing, half concerned that when would be back to a horizontal drive. Okay, so there's obviously something missing here. This is not correct, right? So I'm not actually sure what Doug is saying. So this is fine. My father looked up at me from the driver's seat, half laughing, half concerned that what? We don't know, right? So we're going to tell him, I'm not sure what you mean here. Okay. Eventually, the road evened out and we made the last few miles to our destination, the village of Batoku. Okay. Okay, so that's fine. The road evened out and we made the last few miles to our destination. It feels a little anticlimactic. This whole thing was going on. They were driving. The road was so bumpy. The rainforest the limbs were hitting the car, and then, oh, it was fine. So I would probably comment here. This feels a little anticlimactic. Maybe we need a couple more sentences of transition. Okay. Let's see. The objective of the trip was simple. Okay, so then if you're going to now tell us what the objective is, you want a colon here. Bring the gospel, good news of Jesus Christ, to the people of Batoku. Okay, included in the group. Okay, there's going to be more than one person. It's going to be were. Included in the group were my father, Reverend Roy Frierson, Sr., Marvin, a Ghanaian gentleman, another American missionary, and me, a 13-year-old. Okay, I'll just do this. It's going to tell us. It should be hyphenated. 13-year-old long-haired rocker who was more interested in girls and Deep Purple than villages and Jesus. Okay, I like that. That's nice. That tells us something about who he is, and it's funny. Okay, but I'm going back here. Reverend Roy. This is not a Ghanaian gentleman. That's not specific enough. Like an actual gentleman, just a guy from Ghana. What is he doing there? Who is he? This is vague, right? We don't understand what this is, right? We need more information. Okay. However, I did enjoy traveling immensely, and when my dad asked if I was interested in going, I jumped at the opportunity. Okay. Batoku is a typical Ghanaian village deep in the rainforest. Rainforest, still one word. No electricity, no running water, no potable water. Okay, if there's no running water, I mean, surely there's some potable water, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to live there. So somehow they're able to drink water, somehow, even if it comes in bottles that they buy and ship in. So there is potable water. And I also don't love this water and then water. So I'm going to ask what I just said. I'm going to say, surely there is some kind of potable water. I think we need another descriptor here, right? So I like that there's this list: no electricity, no running water, no something else, but I think that whatever the something else is should not be potable water. Okay, practically every building is made of mud, with roofs of thatched banana leaves. When entering the village from the jungle road, there was a clearing in the central part of the village. Okay, so presumably there is a clearing in the central part of the village, regardless of whether you enter from the jungle road or somewhere else, right? So this this isn't going to work. So I think, so maybe when you enter from the village from the jungle road, you see the clearing in the central part of the village, or maybe the jungle road leads straight. Let's say it this way. And if this is not correct, then Doug can change it and figure out what is correct. But we could say something like, the jungle road leads straight to a clearing in the central part of the village. We pulled up and parked in front of the only building in the area that was not mud baked, a small cinder block enclosure with a rusty red tin roof. There was a small particle board door that wouldn't hardly close. Okay, if it wouldn't hardly close, then it probably does close. That would hardly close, or that could hardly close. Let's see. There was a small particle board door that could hardly close. This would be our home for the next 3 days and nights. Okay, let's just go a little bit further. As we entered the building, I paid little attention to the fact that the windows had no screens. Okay, so if you paid little attention to that, then why are you telling it to us? Like, how did you know? So you want us to know that the windows had no screens, but this is not really the way to tell us because it kind of contradicts what you're saying. So as we entered the building, I paid little attention to the fact that the windows had no screens. Okay, so maybe you just want to tell us that the windows have no screens. So this would be our home. Okay. The windows, let's see. Let's just say the windows had no screens. No homes in Ghana had screens, only still bars on the windows. These did not have still bars either, which was somewhat unusual since theft was a common problem in Ghana, as in many places around the world. Okay, I'm not sure you need to tell us that there's theft in many places around the world. We're not really talking about anywhere else except Ghana, and it is important, and it's good to tell us because we don't know that theft is a common problem in Ghana. Are rooms where my father and myself stayed. Okay, the rooms, right? Because you're telling us that it's where your father and you stayed, so we don't know yet that they're yours until the next part of the sentence. So the rooms where my father and I, where my father and I stayed. So they're rooms, so they were quite small. So the present of this story, even though it's being written in the past, the moment in the past that we are in has been arriving at the village and then entering the house. But now you're saying the rooms where we stayed, as if the moment is actually some time in the future from then when you're done staying there. And I don't think you want that. I think you want to still be you want to keep us where you were before, arriving in the village and finding your lodgings, right? So instead, you want to say the rooms where my father and I would stay. Okay, this is where you're going to stay, where you would stay, were quite small, barely large enough for dad and me to sleep. There was a cot in the room that I had my eye on. You don't need an exclamation point here. It's not like there's a cot in the room, right? It's like just there's a cot and you have your eye on it. My dad told me that he would sleep on the floor, as would I. I was disappointed because I had, right? I'm going to change my mind. I have never liked to sleep on the floor. Okay, that's true. That's still true of you. Okay, so you can still be, I have. I was disappointed because I have never liked to sleep on the floor, but would follow orders. So this makes it sound like you've never liked to sleep on the floor and also, but you also never liked to, but follow orders. So I was disappointed because I have never liked to sleep on the floor, but something like, but I complied because I always followed orders. I was later glad that I did. Okay, that can have an exclamation point because we don't know what's going to happen, but it sounds like something bad would happen on the floor or on the cot, and we're glad that you're on the floor. So I'm glad I did. Yes, exclamation point. Okay. The rooms where my father and I would stay were quite small. Okay, so this is where I'm going to stop. A final comment that I would make is that now we're sort of describing this room and we're getting just a little bit, for lack of a better word, boring. Like you're just sort of telling us this is what there is. There are no screens, but there's lots of theft, and there's a cot, and I wanted to sleep there, but I didn't, and my dad, right? We want a little bit more of, it started off pretty evocative with the idea of, the rainforest, and at first there was signs of life, of human life, and then nothing at all, and then here's this village, and here we are, and we've come to spread the good news, and now we're sort of stuck in this paragraph about the furniture. So we want to maintain that sense of interest in this kind of strange new place. So that's the last comment that I would make here on this paragraph. I won't bore you by taking time to write it out. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm back. This is where you can find me, faithkmoore.com. I would love it if you'd like to hire me to edit your work. Please do. I would also love to just hear from you. You can use the contact page on my website. You can comment here. You can comment wherever else that you're watching this video. And I would love to know if this kind of thing is helpful and if you have any questions about any of the things that I said here. So hopefully we'll do more of this. And I look forward to hearing from you and doing more of these videos. Happy writing.